Hello, John from Bang Olufsen in Manchester, and I've only got Bang Olufsen's first soundbar, Beosound stage, set up and ready to go. Video's a bit early, I wasn't planning to do it till next week, but I'm itching to show it to you and tell you all about it. So let's just crack on. So, finally, late to the party, but our very first soundbar, and it's called Beosound.
Oh, hold on.
What are you doing?
No, budge up.
What are you...
It's not our first soundbar.
It's off?
No, it isn't.
Oh, I know where you're going. Go on.
Beolab 7.1. First
okay,
soundbar.
yeah, first soundbar.
David Lewis.
Beolab 7.1.
Soundbar?
Yes, it is a soundbar. It is a soundbar, I'll give you that.
It's not our first soundbar, is it?
No, well, technically, it's our first soundbar that works with any...
No, hold on. 7.2.
Well, that's the same. It's a Beolab 7.
No,
Beolab 7.1,
no.
7.2. You can't say Beolab 7.6.
So it's our fourth soundbar then?
Fourth?
Well, 7.1, 7.2, 7.6.
Yeah, 3, fourth, yeah.
Oh, hold on. Beosound 35, you can connect the TV into that. Not very good.
You can,
do
it's not technically a soundbar, but yeah.
Looks like a bar.
Yeah, it's... You could use it as a soundbar, I suppose.
It's our first proper soundbar.
So first first proper soundbar that works with any TV with HDMI ARC.
Ah, okay.
So any TV, Samsung, LG, Sony, Panasonic, whatever you want, as long as it's got an HDMI ARC, it will work with Beosound stage.
Beko?
If you've got a Beko,
Beko.
you've got an HDMI ARC, fill your boots.
Beautiful. Love it.
Beko.
You Beko customers come down to me. I don't know. What's that? Azazel. Beep.
Polaroid, or
Yeah.
so yes, it is. Yeah, so I will beat that.
Leave it that bit.
We have the soundbar. It will connect to any TV with an HDMI ARC. If you're using a LG C9 panel, or I think the Z9 has the same, it's got the eARC, which is the enhanced audio return channel. So in that case, you get a few extra features, and you can use the Beo Remote 1 Bluetooth to control your LG panel, so you get that full Bang & Olufsen experience. Now, Bang & Olufsen intended this to be a standalone soundbar with Dolby Atmos. It's a 3-channel sound system, but it does have the Dolby Atmos decoding, so it will decode all of the lovely DTS and HD and 5.1, 7.1 and Atmos. It'll decode all
full
of
hit.
that, and it will do all of that full fat lovely sound.
So this is our proper first ever soundbar.
Yeah, this is the first proper one. So it gives you the Dolby Atmos surround, which we'll talk about in a bit. A lot of the soundbars need that additional subwoofer to give it any sort of deep bass performance. Now, Bang & Olufsen didn't want to go down that route, so on purpose they've decided not to add a subwoofer. They've got no power link connections, you cannot connect external speakers to it. This is for the customer who wants that simple, elegant, sleek bar that sits underneath the TV or on a tabletop, which again I'll talk about in a minute, without the need for a subwoofer. So it has got plenty of power, it's packing a punch. So without the cover on, we can see all of the business. So it is essentially a 3-channel soundbar. So you've got your left and your right channel, and these drive units are at a 45-degree angle. So that's when it's on the wall. They are facing up, but they're not bouncing speakers. They're not there to bounce off the ceiling. I'm sure they do aid with the spaciousness of the sound, but the spaciousness comes from other means, which I'll talk about in a second. So you've got your left and right, your centre here, you've got 2 full range drivers and the tweeter for the centre, and then you've got 4 4-inch bass units which deal with all the bottom end. So in total there are 11 drive units and 11 digital power amplifiers, each with 50 watts of power on tap. So at the moment there are, as far as I can see, a couple of ways to make a Dolby Atmos soundbar. One is to have a bar with upwards and sideways facing speakers that bounces sound off the walls to try and simulate the sound of having speakers around you. This doesn't do that, and the reason that Bang & Olufsen didn't want to make it that way is because that kind of soundbar is very room dependent. They only sound best when the walls at the side of the room are equidistant to the soundbar and the ceiling's not too high, and it relies on the room too much. This one doesn't really rely on walls being close to it and things like that. So the way this works is there are height cues in the Dolby Atmos soundtrack. So this uses all sorts of sound processing and phase to fool our ears into adding little delays and processing the sound, so it fools our ears into thinking that sound is coming from the sides and above us, and to a certain extent behind as well, and it is a lot more effective than I initially thought. And there are touch sensitive edge controls in both the aluminium and the wood versions for Bluetooth pairing. You've got on off, track up and down, and volume up and down as well. The connection panel's a nice simple affair, mounted centrally on the back of Beosound stage. So you have your HDMI ARC connection to the TV that takes the audio. You've got an additional HDMI in if you've got another piece of equipment that you want to plug into the Beosound stage. You've got an analog audio in, which is a 3.5mm jack plug. So if you don't have HDMI ARC, you could use your headphone output, if you have one, to plug into the analog connection. You have an Ethernet in and also an Ethernet out. So if you only have one Ethernet lead from your router to your television point, you can go in and then loop it through back to the TV. And then you've got your simple figure-of-8 mains power. So in the box there is an included wall brackets of, well, I say wall bracket, it's two sort of lugs. You get a template, so it'll tell you exactly where to put the screw holes. The ideal placement is around 5 centimetres below the screen if you're wall mounting. You can, if you've already got furniture like the spectral cabinet here, you can mount it flat so that most of the speakers face up, and then the two left and right speakers are at 45 degrees facing into the room. But it's important when you do the setup, and I will put a link in the description to the Bang Olufsen setup video, which is very good. There's no need for me to repeat it because there's already one there. It's important to say in the app when you're setting it up whether it's mounted flat like this or on a wall this way, because the sound is processed differently, obviously, because all the speakers are facing different ways. I've got to say I prefer it facing forwards on the wall. I think it brings the vocals, the mid-range of the vocals out a tiny bit more, but it's a very small difference. They do a very good job of processing the sound while it's laid flat like this, and it's just another option. I think it looks kind of cool as well. I will soon be getting my hands on some other placement options for Beosound stage, so keep an eye out for that, particularly if you've got a very old Beovision 7 and you're looking for something more modern, and you're perhaps not going to go for an Eclipse or a Harmony because they're too big, and you're going to upgrade your 7 to an LG panel. I've got something very good for you. So I've got something cool coming that's going to adapt the Beovision 7 stand to mount this. I will make a full video on that product as soon as I get my hands on it. Watch this space. From launch there are two aluminium versions, one in natural silver with the black cover, and you've also got bronze tone with the Kvadrat. My friend Henrik will take over because he's Danish and he can say it properly. Here we go.
Kvadrat.
Yeah, that cover. You can also get it finished in this rather beautiful oak. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Again with the
Kvadrat
cover. Although the oak does have a slight price premium because of the manufacturing process or whatever, but it's very, very beautiful. Almost as beautiful as Boss Man Ian. You can't do that, it's on the video now.
Yeah, couldn't do it. I'm busy, go away. You saw it,
So as well as being a dedicated soundbar for any TV, it's also, with it being Bang & Olufsen, a Bang & Olufsen audio system. So just like Beosound Edge, A9, Beosound 1 and 2, it's a fully fledged Bang & Olufsen audio system with all of the goodies that entails, so like Chromecast, AirPlay 2, Bluetooth, Bang & Olufsen multi-room. So once I've done the setup on the Bang & Olufsen app, I can then control my Beosound stage. So I can either use the LG or your TV's own remote control via the ARC connection. You can use a Beosound Remote 1 with a C9 or Z9 panel, and then you can use the app if you want to change any further settings. So in the settings for my Beosound stage here, there is an equalizer for bass and treble. That's up to you. My preference is always to leave them flat. You've got the sound settings, so you've got your default and the max volume. You can set your position, obviously, to wall or table. That is important for the sound processing, and you can turn the loudness on and off. That heightens the bass and treble at much lower volumes, so you don't notice that difference. When you go very quiet, you don't get a lack of bass. It just ramps it up a little. It's very, very subtle, but it works. That's all down to your personal preference. Then you've got the listening modes. Now this, for the most part, is automatic. You can change it and you can set presets at any time, but this is automatic. So when I watch TV, it will use the TV sound mode. Music, it will automatically switch to the music sound mode. So what TV, music, movie, night listening, which flattens the dynamic range a little, stops explosions and things like that being too dynamic, and it calms the bass down a little bit. So for late night listening, it's fine, so you don't wake up other people in the house. You can have none or have it completely unprocessed. You can also have your own preset. You can change the sound with the tone touch, just like the other multi-room products. I tend to leave it in the middle, but again, it's all down to personal preferences. Feel free to play around. It's obviously your soundbar. If you buy one, you do what you want. I always think that Bang Olufsen have spent so much time creating these presets that I've found so far that the standard automatic ones are so good, they're kind of nailed down, so I didn't find the need to change them. But again, tweak away all you like. You can make it sound very bad by tweaking too much, but there's always a reset if you want to reset the sound settings. And then further towards the bottom, we've got product settings where you can do even more. So you've got your Chromecast built-in settings, troubleshooting, the configuration, which already goes through at the beginning, and then the sources. So here I can see all of my sources like TV, HDMI, AirPlay, Deezer, TuneIn, etc., etc. And I can change which sound preset that is automatically used. So I could say for TV, I would like the TV sound, please. And for AirPlay, it's already set to music. Deezer is already set to music, but I also want HDMI-A to please be movie. So I can change the sound processing field depending on which source, so then it becomes automatic if you want to change it. And of course it is a fully fledged Bang & Olufsen audio system, just like all of these other ones, the A9 and Shape and Beosound Edge and Beosound 1 and 2 and etc, etc. It will join the other TVs, including fantastic harmony behind me. So it is a fully fledged Bang & Olufsen multi-room audio product, so you can just use it as a standalone hi-fi if you wish. So if you want to put it in a link room, in a different room, you want to stream audio through to it and not use it on a TV at all, that's also fine. So you can join it to other rooms, you can join it to other products. It also has Google Chromecast built in, just like the other multi-room products, and AirPlay 2 and TuneIn and Deezer and all those other lovely things. So to the sound and grumpy Bossman Ian's face.
I'm not grumpy.
Yeah, I'm always grumpy. I heard it at the Bang & Olufsen training, but it was in a hotel and it was in a big conference room, and there it sounded quite impressive.
I heard it 6 months before that.
There you did, yeah, show off. But now I've heard it in a store, in a more realistic environment, the Dolby Atmos in particular. I wasn't expecting much of how much it can fling sound around, but the soundstage is huge.
Well, I've got to say, when Bang & Olufsen showed it to me, they did say that Jeff Martin, the Tonmeister, hadn't actually got his hands on it at that point properly, so it was going to be, and it sounded good then. It really was pretty cool.
You can tell by listening to it that it's got that Bang & Olufsen sound to it. It's
much better now than it was.
A hell of a lot of time and effort perfecting those different sound modes to the different material that it might play. For music, it sounds like a fairly decent hi-fi, to be fair. It's got nice rich deep bass, it sounds nice and spacious, you get a good stereo spread, but when it kicks into Dolby Atmos and all these surround modes, it's kind of scary how convincing. It's like a sphere almost, a bubble of sound. And the sound is much taller than the TV, and it sort of wraps around over your head, and you can hear details coming from over your shoulders and things.
Well, they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, there's no mistake, there is no substitute. It's not to replace a proper Dolby Atmos cinema or a Bang & Olufsen surround sound system where you have got actual physical speakers dotted around. No soundbar is ever going to compare to that. But as a compromise, if you don't want that, if you don't want boxes everywhere, cables and all that sort of stuff, as a one-box solution, I just think they've nailed it. I'm properly in love with Beosound Stage. It's one of my favourite products in ages.
It's brilliant. So, and it's we've been waiting a while, and it's here now.
It's been worth it.
Thing. It is worth it, and it's here now. So, if you are in Manchester, or if you're in I don't know, another store, one of our lovely other stores around the country or around the world even, and I put a shout out to my friends in Singapore and a few other places that I've.
New York,
New York,
New
yeah,
York,
yes, it's nice. Where these people, like our channel. So yeah, if you're in any of these places, take your time and go and have a listen.
You've got to go have a listen. If you're looking for a soundbar, it's one of the best I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it's certainly one of the nicest built.
I'd be tempted to just not take it as just a soundbar. It's an audio system.
It's an audio. If you wanted to use it in a link room,
classic Bang Olufsen audio system that goes with all the Network products. Buys a speaker for an audio room. It's beautiful.
Yeah, as a replacement for a Beosound 3500 or something like that.
It's just gorgeous, and it works. So yes, that's great. If you do want to use it as a soundbar with a cinema, it's got all that as well. So yeah, I like it. I'm with you on that, John.
It's not often we agree.
No.
No.
No. Shame you won't see John in the next video. He's looking for a new job very shortly.
No.
No, he is. Trust me.
No.
He's history. I'm going to be taking over the channel. It's effectively yet me. So if you want to vote, let us know. And I'll see you in the next video.
Shut your face. You'll see me in the next video. You got that wrong. Get off my video.